We often hear about how women have a special kind of intuition, but we frequently forget that men possess a powerful gut instinct as well. You have spent years, perhaps decades, learning the baseline of your wife's personality. You know the way she laughs when she's genuinely happy, the way she looks when she is actually tired, and the specific rhythm of her daily life. You are the leading expert on what her normal looks like. When that baseline suddenly shifts into a pattern of secrecy, unprovoked anger, and a radiant glow that seems to purposefully exclude you, you have to listen to that voice inside you telling you that something is wrong. Do not let her words or her attempts to flip the script gaslight you into silence. If the math of her stories isn't adding up, it's because she is using a different set of numbers than the ones she's showing you. The truth is undeniably painful, and it is a natural human reaction to want to look the other way to protect your heart. But staying in a lie is far more destructive in the long run. Living in a state of constant doubt and being forced to walk on eggshells in your own home will erode your soul faster than the truth ever could. These 6 attitudes we have discussed are not just random personality quirks. They are a psychological roadmap of a woman who is already emotionally and mentally checked out of the marriage. When you see these signs, you have to realize that you are no longer dealing with the woman you married, but with a version of her that is actively working to protect a secret life. It is time to stop making excuses for her and stop rationalizing her behavior as just a rough patch or a stressful month at work. You owe it to yourself to stop listening to the words coming out of her mouth and start looking at the patterns of her actions. Words can be rehearsed, stories can be fabricated, and emotions can be faked, but consistent behavioral patterns are almost impossible to maintain if they aren't rooted in reality. You have to be brave enough to face the uncomfortable clarity that comes with opening your eyes. Remember that at the end of the day, patterns do not lie, but people who have something to hide will do so until the very last second. Trust your intuition, observe the shifts, and choose the painful truth over a comfortable deception. The first and most undeniable sign of a shift in a relationship is the sudden transition of her phone from a simple communication tool into a state secret. In a healthy, transparent relationship, phones are incidental. They get left on the charger, tossed on the kitchen counter, or forgotten on the coffee table. But when a woman is cheating, that device becomes a digital fortress. It is no longer just a phone, it is surgically attached to her hand at all times. You'll notice she never leaves a room without it. Even if she's just going to the kitchen for a glass of water or heading into the bathroom for 30 seconds, that phone goes with her. This isn't about being connected to the world. It's about a desperate, panicked need to ensure that you never have a single second of unsupervised access to that screen. The psychology behind her phone habits is rooted in a subconscious defensive strategy. One of the most common tells is the face-down phone. When she sets it on a table, the screen is always hidden. Physically and symbolically, she is placing a solid barrier between you and her secrets. By hiding the screen, she is preventing a stray notification or a poorly timed text from shattering her double life. Then there is what I call the bathroom guard. If she cannot even shower, brush her teeth, or use the restroom without that phone being within arm's reach, she isn't just checking the weather or scrolling through social media. She is protecting her lifeline. She is terrified that if she leaves it unattended for even 5 minutes, a message will pop up that she can't explain away, and the house of cards will come crashing down. Beyond the physical protection of the device, you have to look at the emotional dopamine loop she's trapped in. To her, that phone has become a portal to an alternate reality, a place where she feels young, desired, adventurous, and exciting. Every time that phone buzzes or lights up, her brain gets a massive hit of dopamine, the chemical associated with pleasure and reward. You can see this written all over her face if you're paying attention. Watch her eyes the next time she gets a notification. Does she have a secret smile or a look of sudden intense focus before she even opens the message? That's not a text from her mother, and it's not a boring update from a work colleague. That is the affair high manifesting in real time. This addiction to her secret world creates a hair-trigger defensiveness. In the past, if you asked, "Who's texting you?" she would have given you a straight answer without thinking twice. Now that same simple question feels like a direct attack. If she snaps at you, hides the screen, or gives you a vague, dismissive answer like it's nobody or just a group chat, she isn't just being private. She is protecting the source of her new happiness and the person who is providing the validation she is now sourcing outside of your marriage. When her relationship with her phone becomes more intimate and protective than her relationship with you, the digital fortress is already built and the truth is hidden inside it. Have you noticed that the air in your home has become heavy, where even a simple hello or a casual "how was your day" feels like you're pulling the pin on a grenade? This is a calculated shift I call weaponized irritability. It is a transformation where your wife goes from being your partner to being your primary antagonist. You might ask a completely standard foundational question like, "What time do you think you'll be back from the gym?" And instead of a normal answer, she snaps at you with a level of vitriol that doesn't fit the situation. She'll accuse you of tracking her, monitoring her every move, or treat you like a jailer rather than a husband. Suddenly, you aren't just a spouse asking about a schedule. You're an intruder in her life, and she uses this manufactured anger as a shield to keep you at a distance. There is a deep psychological reason for this hostility, and it's rooted in a guilty conscience working overtime. You have to understand that managing two different lives, one based on a lie and one based on a long-term commitment, is mentally and emotionally exhausting. She is under immense stress trying to keep her stories straight, and every time you show genuine care, kindness, or interest, it inadvertently shines a spotlight on her betrayal. Your love becomes a mirror that shows her a version of herself she doesn't want to see. To stop that crushing feeling of guilt, she subconsciously flips the script. By turning her internal shame into external anger toward you, she creates a narrative where you are the villain. If she can successfully label you as the controlling, nosy, or suffocating husband, she can finally justify her cheating in her own mind. She tells herself she isn't a bad person. She's just a trapped woman seeking air, which makes her betrayal feel like an act of survival rather than a choice. This leads into the most dangerous and manipulative part of the entire dynamic, conditioning you to silence. This is a slow, methodical process where she uses her explosive reactions to train you like a lab rat. Every time you ask a question and get your head bitten off, your brain learns that transparency equals conflict. Eventually, you start walking on eggshells in your own living room. You stop asking who she's texting. You stop asking why she's home 2 hours late. And you stop asking about her weekend plans because you are terrified of triggering another blow-up. This is exactly what she wants. By making honesty feel like a battlefield, she effectively silences you, forcing you to give her the wide-open space she needs to continue her affair in peace. You become a stranger in your own marriage, censoring your natural concern just to keep the peace, while she uses that silence to deepen her betrayal without ever having to face an interrogation again. This stage of betrayal is arguably the most heartbreaking for a husband to experience because it involves watching the woman you love transform into the most vibrant version of herself, while simultaneously feeling more disconnected from her than ever before. You might notice that she is suddenly blooming in ways that don't align with the current state of your marriage. She starts hitting the gym with a new intensity. She buys expensive lingerie that you've never seen her wear for you. Or she suddenly overhauls her hairstyle and wardrobe. You might even notice her wearing her best perfume just to run mundane errands like going to the grocery store or the post office. On the surface, it looks like self-improvement, but the timing feels wrong. You know deep down that the spark in your relationship hasn't been reignited, yet she is radiating a level of energy and confidence that you haven't seen in years. The reality of this situation is that while she is glowing, you are not the sunlight providing the warmth for that growth. This surge of vitality is almost always fueled by the catalyst of external validation from a new man. When a woman feels newly desired by someone outside of her primary relationship, it triggers a genuine biological and psychological shift. The rush of being pursued and the thrill of a new connection creates a natural high that changes the way she carries herself. She walks with a different posture, she speaks with more animation, and she invests an incredible amount of effort into her physical appearance. It is a total identity shift. She is essentially reverting back to the dating version of herself, but she is doing it for an audience of one, and that person isn't you. The most telling sign of this shift is what I call the invasion reaction. In a healthy marriage, if a woman dresses up for her husband, she is delighted when he notices and offers a compliment. However, when she is dressing up for someone else, your praise doesn't feel good to her. It feels like an intrusion. If you tell her she looks beautiful or ask why she's so dressed up, she might shrug you off, act visibly annoyed, or quickly change the subject. Psychologically, your attention feels like an invasion into a private, exciting reality that no longer belongs to you. In her mind, she has moved on to a new world where you are merely a guest or a bystander. Your compliments are no longer a source of pride. Instead, they serve as a painful or irritating reminder of the stable, predictable life she is currently betraying to chase a temporary high. There is a dangerous misconception among men that as long as there is still activity in the bedroom, their relationship is secure. You might assume that if she's still willing to be intimate, she couldn't possibly be looking elsewhere, but this is often a calculated illusion. In reality, a woman who is cheating may actually increase the frequency of physical intimacy as a tactical move. This serves two purposes. It acts as a smokescreen to throw you off the scent and keep you from becoming suspicious, and it is often a byproduct of her sexuality being reawakened by the new thrill of an affair. She isn't necessarily more attracted to you. She is simply operating on a higher level of sexual energy that was sparked by someone else, and you are receiving the overflow of that excitement. The key to understanding the truth lies in the quality of the intimacy rather than the quantity. When you are together, you need to pay attention to whether it feels like a genuine emotional connection or a choreographed performance. If she feels like a ghost in your arms, physically present but mentally and emotionally miles away, it is a major red flag. You might notice a sudden lack of eye contact or a sense that she is just going through the motions to get the act over with. Even more telling is if she suddenly introduces new moves, techniques, or a completely different style of intimacy that feels foreign to your shared history. If the way she interacts with you in bed changes overnight without any conversation, there is a high probability she is bringing the energy and the lessons learned from the affair back into your home. The most revealing moment, however, happens the second the physical act is finished. This is what I call the post-intimacy withdrawal. In a healthy, faithful relationship, the moments after sex are characterized by an afterglow, a time for cuddling, bonding, and quiet conversation. But for a woman who is cheating, the physical act is often just a task she has checked off her to-do list to keep you quiet and satisfied so you don't ask questions. Once that task is completed, her guilt or her desire to return to her secret life takes over. Watch for her to jump up immediately to head to the shower, or worse, to reach for her phone before the sheets are even cold. She wants to wash away the evidence of the duty she just performed and plug back into the secret reality where her heart actually resides. One of the most practical signs that things have gone off the rails is when her schedule suddenly transforms into a chaotic mess of untraceable time. You will start hearing phrases like, "I am going out with the girls," or "work is running late again," with a frequency that doesn't match her previous lifestyle. In a transparent relationship, time is generally accounted for, and plans have a logical flow. However, when an affair is in progress, she has to find windows of opportunity to be with the other person. This results in missing hours that she can't quite explain with specific details. If you notice that she is suddenly unavailable during times when she used to be reachable, or if her excuses for being away from home feel thin and poorly constructed, you are looking at the gaps where her secret life is being lived. A major red flag within this shift is the emergence of what I call the anonymous social circle. Pay close attention if she starts mentioning new friends, coworkers, or acquaintances that you have never met and never seem to get invited to see. In the past, she likely wanted you involved in her social world, but now she is intentionally keeping these two worlds separate. These new friends often serve as a convenient alibi. They are the blank spaces in her story where the affair actually resides. If you try to ask for more information about these people, you might notice her stories become vague, inconsistent, or even defensive. She might not be able to remember the name of the restaurant they went to or what they talked about because the social outing never actually happened. She is fabricating a secondary social life to act as a shield for her betrayal. The most revealing indicator in this segment, however, is the radical shift in her energy the moment she prepares to leave the house. Watch her carefully when she is heading out the door. If she has spent the entire day at home being stressed, irritable, or emotionally distant toward you, but suddenly becomes light, happy, and excited the second she picks up her car keys, you have to ask yourself why. This sudden burst of positive energy isn't because she loves running errands or working overtime. It is because, in her mind, she is escaping the prison of her marriage and entering the freedom of her secret reality. She is essentially leaving her real life behind to go play a different character with someone else. And that sense of relief is almost impossible for her to hide as she walks out the door. The final and most toxic sign of a hidden betrayal is when she suddenly flips the script and starts accusing you of being the one who is cheating or untrustworthy. This behavior is a classic example of psychological projection, where she takes the guilt and the deceptive actions she is committing and projects them onto you. By turning the spotlight on your behavior, she effectively creates a diversion. It is a calculated move designed to keep you so busy defending your own character that you never have the time or the mental energy to investigate hers. If you notice that she has become hyper-suspicious of your phone, your work schedule, or your female colleagues for no logical reason, it is likely because she is judging you through the lens of her own dishonesty. The primary goal of this tactic is to deflect blame and put you on the defensive. If you ever gather the courage to bring up her strange phone habits or those unexplained late nights, she will immediately turn it around on you. She might say something like, "You are only asking me these questions because you are projecting what you are doing," or she might use your history together as a weapon by saying she cannot believe you don't trust her after all these years. This is a brilliant, albeit cruel, defensive strategy. It forces you into a position where you feel like the offender. Instead of her answering for her whereabouts, you find yourself apologizing for having a gut feeling. She uses your own integrity and your desire to be a good husband against you, making you feel as though your natural intuition is actually a character flaw. The underlying purpose of this emotional attack is to make you feel like the crazy one in the relationship. This is a form of gaslighting where she wants you to doubt your own eyes, your own ears, and your own sanity. If she can successfully make you believe that your suspicions are just a product of your own insecurity or mental issues, then she wins the ultimate prize. She gets to continue her affair in the shadows while maintaining the comfort and security of the home and life you provide. She creates a reality where she is the victim of your unfounded jealousy. And as long as you are focused on fixing yourself and proving your loyalty to her, she is free to continue betraying you without consequence. When she turns your search for the truth into a reason for you to feel guilty, she has successfully built a wall of confusion that protects her double life. We often hear about how women have a special kind of intuition, but we frequently forget that men possess a powerful gut instinct as well. You have spent years, perhaps decades, learning the baseline of your wife's personality. You know the way she laughs when she's genuinely happy, the way she looks when she is actually tired, and the specific rhythm of her daily life. You are the leading expert on what her normal looks like. When that baseline suddenly shifts into a pattern of secrecy, unprovoked anger, and a radiant glow that seems to purposefully exclude you, you have to listen to that voice inside you telling you that something is wrong. Do not let her words or her attempts to flip the script gaslight you into silence. If the math of her stories isn't adding up, it's because she is using a different set of numbers than the ones she's showing you. The truth is undeniably painful, and it is a natural human reaction to want to look the other way to protect your heart. But staying in a lie is far more destructive in the long run. Living in a state of constant doubt and being forced to walk on eggshells in your own home will erode your soul faster than the truth ever could. These 6 attitudes we have discussed are not just random personality quirks. They are a psychological roadmap of a woman who has already emotionally and mentally checked out of the marriage. When you see these signs, you have to realize that you are no longer dealing with the woman you married, but with a version of her that is actively working to protect a secret life. It is time to stop making excuses for her and stop rationalizing her behavior as just a rough patch or a stressful month at work. You owe it to yourself to stop listening to the words coming out of her mouth and start looking at the patterns of her actions. Words can be rehearsed, stories can be fabricated, and emotions can be faked, but consistent behavioral patterns are almost impossible to maintain if they aren't rooted in reality. You have to be brave enough to face the uncomfortable clarity that comes with opening your eyes. Remember that at the end of the day, patterns do not lie, but people who have something to hide will do so until the very last second. Trust your intuition, observe the shifts, and choose the painful truth over a comfortable deception.